Today we got some games to teach you guys on how to crush the meta with the all-new TyrantKabuterimon.
Alright, welcome to game 1 of TyrantKabuterimon, where we're playing against Myotismon. Myotismon got new support from BT16 as well, because of course it's part of the Digimon 02 adventure series, you know, the main villain and stuff. But anyways, we're gonna see if the big bug can crush against the vampires, or the vampire is going to prevail against us. Anyways, looking at our opening hand, we know we're going second. I actually kind of greeted for this. I decided to keep it in the end with just one agility training, and I was hoping to top deck a card that I can kind of play. But then I was also second thinking, like, you know what, if I don't find my rookie, I'm just going to play Izzy's over and over again. But I kind of underestimated their deck, because I realized they actually played the Ukomon inside there, and with Ukomon they're able to get a lot of momentum and sort of search, and if they play the other Ukomon as well, the promo one, they're gonna keep ramping up again and again and again, and that's gonna be problematic. And technically they're just trying to rookie rush us down, so maybe should have mulliganed that hand, but things turn out well for us. I guess my greed of keeping it, not greed of keeping it, I guess my suboptimal decision of keeping it actually kind of paid off, because now you can see we searched so many cards, we've gone through so many cards of our deck. We have 3 agility trainings, we got a green memory boost to work with, we can just pop off any second. Yes, they're chipping us away with security, which is a little bit concerning, because with all of that chipping away, we're only down to 2 and we're against their 5. But don't worry, TyrantKabuteri is incredibly good at controlling the board, and with many of its effects, we're gonna able to sort of play around it and utilize it and clear their board and gain our win advantages bit by bit and make a huge comeback from them. If you guys remember watching the BT15 gameplay of herculeskabuterimon, you know, it does very similarly to that. You know, it still has that really great control play style, which it can sort of like control the opponent's board very heavily, and you take them down bit by bit with your strong big bugs. Here our opponent are just kind of contemplating on like what to play via the effects. They decided to go for Demi-Merimon in the not Demi-Merimon, Demi-Devimon to continue the search. But anyways, we're gonna attempt to clear the board here entirely, and we're just gonna climb up all the way to the stack, all the way to the top. Got a Metal Life Kabuteri here. I'm contemplating what to suspend and what I want to necessarily take down. Well, the thing is, I definitely want to suspend down the Aurukeni, but I don't necessarily want to swing over it because I know it has on-deletion effects. So I was thinking, okay, you know what? TyrantKabuterimon is perfect for this because it'll bottom deck them, which is a really strong counter against it. And knowing the Demi-Devimon is gonna get deleted by the end of the turn anyways, I decided to go through all the way with the stack and then hard playing the Blade Kuwagamon. Blade Kuwagamon gives itself an extra 3k buff so that we can use TyrantKabuteri's end of turn to suspend it down, bottom deck the Aurukeni, no problem at all. The only thing I would argue that I probably should have just chipped away with Metal Life anyways first, just because I was pretty much at like at least 13k DP, if not even 14. And I would have easily gone over any security, but I was just trying to be cautious just because I don't exactly know what they have and anything could happen in security. As you guys can see right here, there was a map, but we could have clearly chipped a little bit earlier to apply a little bit more early pressure and momentum for us just to go for that comeback a little bit quicker. But you know, our board is still really fine here. They're gonna have to rebuild. They're gonna have to find ways to play all around this. We have redirects. We have Izzy there to continue to redirect. We can blast Digivolve to continue to redirect. Essentially, we have a big wall of blockers to play with. And the reason why I suspended that Blade Kuwagamon at the end of my turn without bottom decking any of their Digimon that prior turn anyways is because I want to put it suspended so that if I ever want to, I can always use Izzy to redirect attacks into it instead of going to TyrantKabuterimon. Sometimes purple decks out there, not specifically in this matchup, they might have played some form of retaliation, so that's something you want to be mindful of and be wary of. But anyways, we're going to go for a Lotmon Alliance combo just to double check into them and to apply pressure. I like Lotmon in this deck just because it gives it the aggression and the offensive style that the deck is kind of lacking. Sometimes I wish there was a little bit more like trashing security effects or piercing effects in this deck, which is kind of strange because usually you would see these in big bug decks usually, and maybe even security +1, but I guess Lotmon is currently my sort of go-to for that to give us the extra damage we need, just because the level 4s and level 5s that from the new stuff in BT16 are just so good. We definitely want to put all of them in, and we don't want to sort of like miss out on them either, so it's kind of hard to find room to play something else aside from those cards anyways. But here they're going to go into this Mummymon, deleting their tamers, and then they can go into that for free draw and trash cards, but we're not worried at all just because we have such a big wall. We're presenting lethal, we have multiple Digimon on the board, we can easily climb up again. If you guys notice our hand, we can just go up from the level 4 or 5 all over and do all that shenanigans again. They are setting up a pretty nice wide board here, which is kind of cool. Playing the Myotis Ace, so the Myotis Ace lets you play a tamer back from trash as well, which is really good, and pretty cool combos here overall. And they decide to actually go into Malo anyways by digivolving into it. And usually you can play Malo back from trash, I believe, with like Yukio's effect, but hard digivolving is not bad at all either, just because Malo and Myotis can pop their own stuff, and then they can pop our tamers, they can pop our unsuspended Digimon, which they probably have to go for a Digimon here. And thank goodness we actually checked with our TyrantKabuteri to attack, because if we didn't attack, we'll be unsuspended and then we'll be getting deleted, which is not an ideal situation that we want to be in anyways, because we don't have protection. This deck doesn't have protection whatsoever. But yeah, so passing the 4 memory to us, trashing our security, pretty cool combo. We can kind of see how deadly Malo Myotis, and thank goodness we're able to control the board early enough and prevent them from getting into this combo as early, because if they went in there early and we weren't able to, you know, build that stack all over again that we showed you guys from the beginning to take them down, we probably have lost this game essentially. But we want to be careful here. We're just seeing what kind of outs and what kind of ins we can kind of play. I found like, okay, we got Shining Bee. Shining Bee could actually just close this game out here, essentially, just because we don't have piercing. And if we don't finish the game this turn, they're going to probably finish us the turn after with Malo Myotis. Even though we can redirect attacks and such, you know, it could be kind of dangerous for us. So went for Shining Bee just to go for that game by bottom decking the one and only blocker, Alliance for 2 checks, and then we can swing for game to finish off there. Alright, game 2, we're gonna be playing against the Dawn and Dusk Grace Novamon deck. Definitely nice to see in action in this matchup, very interesting because I never played it before. But the other thing is also because in BT16, they got a little bit of support, which gives them a lot more improvement in the consistencies overall. But anyways, back to our hand, we decide to keep it just because we can see a 3, 4, 5 line. Chances are if we mulligan and get greedy for a better hand, we can potentially not find the pieces that we need, or even potentially break off of that. So I felt like, you know what, let's just digivolve in the back, climb up the stack, and just draw cards that way. By drawing cards, by digivolving, that's going to be our priority, and that's how we're going to try to find our pieces as we go. I love the new Kabuterimon that's included now as well, because it helps you search for Insectoids and grabbing Insectoids, so then you can get more Insectoids and continue to basically having a really good key piece searcher for the deck. Others aside from the Kukuamon that most insect decks used to play actually. Anyways, here we continue to chip away with Kabuterimon, and that's what we want to do, because we want to continue to show them that, hey, we can potentially ace you, and we want to have the effect immunity while it's suspended. I don't mind if it gets deleted in security just as much, just because it serves its purpose to do the early game chipping as much as possible, because I plan to build a secondary stack in the back all over again anyways. Here I'm going to hard pass the 3. I was contemplating on just hard playing another Kabuterimon just to like search, but I don't really need to search. I just really need to climb up the stack at this moment and get into TyrantKabuterimon as quickly as possible, which you guys can see I have it in my hand. But now going back to their turn, they have both blue and red Psychos in there set up for them. They can do a lot of memory shenanigans here and do a lot of looping combos with all their inheritables too at the same time, and they're just going to go into their straight line combo, continue to search and find pieces, loop and loop and loop, and then probably just try to climb up into their 6 even potentially this turn in that one go, which is pretty cool. Like playing against the Grace Novamon deck, we gotta respect it because they can build a really big stack and they have a lot of inheritables that can work with as well. And they can remove, they can stun, they can do a lot of things. If they go into Grace Nova, they can bottom deck our stacks. And once again, you guys know TyrantKabuteri only really has protection if it's suspended. But they have a lot of DP gaining effects too, which they can potentially swing over it too. So we got to be careful and sort of like think and plan about this and keep these things in mind, and always, really importantly, keep check of what inheritables they have, because all of it matter. They have opponents' turn DP buff, they have their turn DP buffs, and so on. It's pretty straightforward, but we just got to keep count. And then they go into AVAULT here. They can blitz for multiple checks. He was just saying like, oh yeah, if you had the blue Cyan Coal earlier, you could just spend it to gain an extra memory and give us less, just for a little bit more optimal play anyways. And yeah, I think they just forgot to do that during the turn. And yeah, they're gonna think about and go ahead and blitz for essentially 3 checks at 16k DP, but that's actually pretty okay for us, because finding the green memory boost in security is giving us a lot of value for that. And by doing so, we can now actually climb up the stack and we can actually try to remove it. Of course, going into Metal Life. Metal Life suspends a Digimon, but since their stack is suspended anyways, we can then go into Tyrant. And also giving the extra DP buff is great. So we're keeping check on what DP buffs they have. It looks like they have 2 DP buffs on the opponent's turn, so their polo is also 16 anyways. But going to Tyrant after the Metal Life, we can pump it up all the way to 17, and we actually are 18 as well, swinging over it and try to gain a memory off of it afterwards as well, with the end of turn attack of Monimon, which is absolutely amazing. Still being able to attack at the end of the turn is just really, really good. So here they have to just rebuild all over again, reset up, and we're just sitting with our big guy essentially and just chilling. Like, if you guys noticed earlier, we also get to play that Kabuterimon, which we probably should have utilized the end of turn to suspend it, just so we can get some like effect protection against their deck, just in case if they ever try to go into it. But I kind of thought, like, you know, with an empty board, they're probably just going to try to set up anyways, so, you know, we didn't really get punished for that. But yeah, that's one key thing you want to keep in mind when you're playing TyrantKabuteri. You might just want to suspend your own things just for the sake of it, even though you don't get to bottom deck their stuff. You just want to do it preemptively, because just in case if your stuff has like this Kabuterimon that has immunity while suspended, you probably want to just keep that in mind for the most part anyways. So we'll continue to sort of like build, search, and find other pieces, and then we're just going to continue attack. And this time you guys can see, yeah, I decided to suspend the Kabuterimon, knowing that they're just going to come out with a big full-on combo anyways, and they could potentially just delete it. So we're gonna sit here on the board. We got redirect from Metal Life, which is fantastic. We got Izzy to redirect. We have an ace that we can play with as well. And if they ever try to sort of swing into our Tyrant once again and try to build up lots of DP, we are gonna go into Mega Kabuteri to beef it up by another 3k and basically win the battle of ace. Not battle of ace, I guess, like kind of ace and win the battle of DP from there. But we notice they're actually playing pretty smart. They know that we can potentially ace. They know we can potentially extend our DP power of our Tyrant. They're actually racking up multiple red sources as much as they can. Here we get to finally see the new Galgamon in action, which is a new support for that. Also kind of like a Mirage support as well. Really cool card that can be played in both decks, which is fantastic. It gives it jamming. It gets to gain a memory off of it, effectively being like a 1-cost Evo. If they manage to Evo into it for free, they're just gaining memory. They're drawing cards. They got a thick hand to work with. They have so many pieces in their hand. They can easily just go all the way through. They for sure have the full line of combo at this point. They still have another red Sayoko to utilize again if they need to. They should probably go into level 5 by now, essentially, I think. But here they're just trying to calculate and think about the DP for sure, and just keeping check. And you guys can see it. We have the Mega Kabuteri. We're getting ready for that. If they ever try to swing over it, they know they have to deal with our board. They have to attack into Tyrant or even just Kabuterimon alone, just because next turn we're presenting lethal, and if we don't have blocker or anything, they can't really stop us either. And yeah, so the other tricky part for them is that we're also immune to like any deletion effects or any stunning effects effectively too, or any source stripping effects if they try to go into Tyrannomon. Stunning effects might be a little bit different, which we'll get into later on. We're going to see that in a bit. But yeah, they're going to continue to stack it up, putting the level 4 under to go into another level 4. So still no level 5 yet, but they continue to find pieces or trying to search for something, which I'm not entirely sure. Maybe another Polymon right there that they really need. And then now they can clearly just go into level 5. They just have so much memory to work with anyway, so they're pretty okay. And they are just thinking if they should go into another Coincido to go for another big play, or they're just contemplating if they should just go up the stack. So they decide to actually go into Diana here. They're not going to be able to strip our sources, but the stunning effect does last until the end of the opponent's next turn, which is our turn. Meaning that our Kabuterimon, which has no sources, wouldn't be able to sort of like attack or suspend and do all that kind of stuff. They go into Apollo here once again, and they are really, really beefed up. It looks like they got 4 red sources underneath, making it an extra 8k, which means Apollo is 20k, ensuring that they can swing over TyrantKabuteri. Now that's a really, really good play. They were able to build like that, which really shows that they, they understand what we do with our deck. They're thinking ahead. So really good play there, but we're not that worried because we have so much set up as well. We got agility training, green memory boost to work with. So the next turn when we come out with Tentomon as well, we can easily just like swing over and climb all over again because we can take advantage of them not having the DP buffs during our turn. But anyways, they go for the DNA here, where we're sort of checking a ruling and trying to see what sort of activates first. Whether if it's their blue Sio and Co, which lets them play and DNA first, or is it when do we unsuspend first? Now I'm not entirely sure because both of these happen at the same time, and these are like sort of the turn procedures kind of thing, because they both happen at the start of the opponent's turn. And I guess the way how we kind of wrote it in the end is that, like, at the start of the turn we unsuspend first, and then I guess effects happen. But if any of you guys are judges and know that particular rule, let me know in the comments down below. I'd appreciate the help once again. Just because these are some tricky rulings here that we have in interactions. So we decide that, okay, yeah, Kabuteri gets to stay, but of course it's stunned from Diana's effect anyways, because it becomes unsuspended, so it's no longer immune. But we're going to climb up into Blade Kuwaga, go into Outer Kabuteri. With Tentomon starter main, we're gaining 3k from that. Blade Kuwaga, extra 3k from that. Mega Kabuteri, another extra 3k. Buffing up by 9k. Our Mega Kabuteri is essentially sitting at 16k, and even with that Grace Nova, as powerful as it is, we don't need a bottom deck hit. We don't want to remove it by effects because it has protection from its layers. So we're just going to go ham and swing into it effectively at 17, because Blade Kuwaga gives an extra 1k during all turns while suspended, and we're just going to attack over the great cosmic lord itself, the Galaxy Nova god, beating it with a big bug. Classic showcase right there, gaining a memory off Tentomon as well. And now we can just chill and sit tight and just probably try to go for lethal next game and going to Kabuteri, and then we can just search for another Tyrant here and basically sit tight and then see what they can do. They're gonna have to rebuild all over again. They don't have a lot of cards left in their deck either. Going through all that stack all once again really showcases how strong TyrantKabuteri and this insect deck is at controlling the board and making big comebacks. If you guys remember, they did the 3 checks way early on with Apollomon, and we're able to withstand and sort of survive off of it and not let ourselves lose. TyrantKabuteri is really good at not losing. Still can work on the winning parts a little bit, but that's why we're trying to chip away bit by bit here, and we want to control all the way to the point so that we can just take down their security. And yeah, you guys can see they don't have a lot of cards to work with in their deck. They're gonna have to find some ways. You're probably gonna have to Digivolve at the back right here, which makes most sense because then you can set up for next turn essentially and then go for the big combos. They have a lot of silent codes to work with, so the next turn they for sure have it right there, and we are presenting lethal anyways. And that's what they realized just before like trying to pass their turn. So they realized that, okay, yeah, they kind of have to deal with those bodies on the board. So they did play Phoebus Blow, I believe, or is it Phoebus Blow, or whatever Apollomon's signature moves just to get rid of our Digimon. But you know, thanks to Mega Kabuteri and yeah, being suspended, it's basically unaffected. But I think it deletes the lowest DP anyway. So here, giving us 5 memory to work with is kind of nice because then we can really take advantage. I'm trying to see, okay, can I survive to the next turn? Or do I have to finish it off right now? Now, I have a feeling that I'm not going to be able to survive the next turn just because once I give it to them, they're going to do all those looping combos again. You guys can see how thick their hand is. They're playing basically with most of their deck at this point. They have access to all the cards that they need. And knowing that we have a Mega Kabuteri Ace, they could potentially like get rid of it somehow and then Ace Overflow, passing our turns, you know, or regaining turn, and then sort of like take out like our stacks. So we're just gonna go for a Grand Ace with Metal Life DP buffing up to finish the game like that. Okay, game 3, we are gonna up the challenge this time, and we're gonna face off against Magna X, one of the strongest decks of the current format. Now, pretty confident in this matchup too, just because we have a lot of control elements in this deck, and when Tyrant ramps it up anyways, we're really strong. Once again, with our opening hand, we want to find rookies, we want to find cards that we can search and set up ideally, or at least something to climb up the stack. Here with the Search of Agility Training is really tempting to grab that Rapidmon, especially I actually play it as a one-of as my tech currently, and I really like Digivolving, which can kind of play around armors and everything, which can come in clutch. But in the end, I just felt like, no, you know what? I just got to go for consistency. I need to find pieces and stuff like that. I need to go and grab that green memory boost so I can utilize it right here, as you guys can see instead, and grab an extra piece, which we have Metal Life. Now we have the 5 and 6s. We can get into Tyrant really easily and basically start going wide with our board. And with that, we can also still threaten with the Blade Kuwaga, pretending we might have a ace. And we actually do have one anyways, but also sometimes when you play without it, you know, it's always good to showcase your opponent that you might can get into it. With this Zudo play right here, that was really good on them, and they just got rid of Blade Kuwaga to our hand, which is nice. We get to grab it back and Digivolve all over again. But honestly, yeah, that was pretty much the right play. Instead of Digivolving on top of Magna, saving the Magna for other utilities is going to be really helpful here for them. So we're in a little bit of a sticky situation where feels like our momentum is pretty much slowed down already from the get-go just because of this turn of play. And having to play the Kabuteri, now we get to pick some stuff from it, and maybe, I guess the better play might have been actually just Digivolve in the back. I just didn't want to give the opponent 3 memory, because by giving them 3 memory, it can potentially become lethal for us, or they can just do so much damage. And I just wanted to try to take it as slowly as possible. But really, maybe in hindsight, I just think, yeah, maybe Digivolving in the back would have been more ideal, and skipping some of those when Digivolving effects might have to be the case. But I just really want to keep the opportunity to go into those when Digivolving effects, just because I can rack up more DP, and by racking up more DP, that allows me to potentially swing over Magna X. And that's one of the ways that Tyrant has a really good sort of out against it, is to have empower it with even more DP, and then you can actually just take it out that way, which is pretty good against that immunity if you're trying to play around it. But you guys can see they're establishing board control, they're establishing chipping us away, not finding any more setup pieces, which is fine. That's kind of what we were hoping for initially, but I kind of felt like we kind of need to push out now, because next turn they're presenting lethal. We're gonna have to try our best to control the board, and it's still pretty cool. Even though we're playing behind, you guys can see as we get into Metal Life Kabuteri, we can also suspend something down. By suspending something down, we gain extra 3000 DP until the end of opponent's turn as well, and Metal Life can also redirect with its inheritable. So we're pretty much clear and green to go. We have HPD, we have an extra body to utilize with Kabuteri, and reducing the 5 cost into Tyrant, paying only 1 instead is also really value. So then now we can play something out. I'm contemplating whether if I should play out the Kuwaga promo here, and I was thinking maybe just prevent their Magna X from unsuspending just to block an attack, but I was kind of thinking maybe that's not the right choice either. Maybe it might be better to even just play out the Mega Kabuteri instead, just because we want to be able to bottom deck one of their Digimon, thin out their board a little bit. And honestly, the promo Kuwaga, even though it prevents it from unsuspending, even it lasts to the end of the next turn, which kind of affects their plays around their immunity a little bit, it still requires them to just chip away one of our security and they can unsuspend. So we're just gonna go through here in terms of trying to swing over the Zudo. We're really strong with TyrantKabuteri. We're effectively 20k, 21k, because we buffed it up with Mega Kabuteri, and all we have to do is just play Izzy to go for the end of turn, to suspend our own Mega Kabuteri, and try to attempt to bottom deck that Magna to slow them down just by a little bit. But that Magna is pretty good here because then they can float a VMon back essentially and draw a card as well. Keep in mind, like, sometimes I believe the end of turn procedures could have just happened both at the same time, but in the end it didn't make a difference because we're gonna play the Izzy anyways. So yeah, we're basically sitting pretty okay in this situation anyways. So we feel like we're confident. We're such a big body. We're so strong. There's absolutely no way they can just out us. We're immune to Digimon effects as well, and there's no way that Magna X can swing into us. We have 2 redirects with Izzy. This is a pretty optimal board for Tyrant essentially, because then the next turn we can go into another Tyrant and then basically build another strong board and control and sort of clap back slowly bit by bit and gain all the momentum as we can. So here, unfortunately, it seems like they do have an answer. Despite being immune to any Digimon effects, guess what the Insect deck is not actually immune to? Heaven's Judgment right here. And they actually have 4 colors, which means they get to use it 5 times, meaning they get to reduce up to a total of 30k DP on the board. Now keep in mind, our Tyrant is 21, the Mega Kabuteri is 7, and the Code Kabuteri is 1. They can't clear everything, absolutely everything. I think, no, they can't clear absolutely everything because they have to use it like differently and spread out across. They have to use at least 2 on Mega Kabuteri, 1 on Code Kabu, and if not, like, they have to use at least 4 on Tyrant essentially. So they're gonna use 2 and 1 on the Code Kabuteri and Mega Kabuteri, and they're gonna use the other remaining amounts to weaken our TyrantKabuteri and then swing over it with Magna X. And that's honestly a really good play on their part once again, just to clear our board, and that's actually really done very well. And here we have to basically just rebuild all over again. We're in that position where we just have to find a way to survive, hopefully, and this is just a really tough situation. We can't build in the back because for sure they have 4 hits later on, and we can't really rely too much on our security to try and save us. So we kind of have to think of a game plan and see what we can do. So this is why I put down this promo Kuaga, just to stop them from unsuspending until the end of their next turn. Now, even though again their Magna X may be immune, if it was, they still can't unsuspend it because it lasts until the end of their turn. So in order for them to gain that immunity back, they have to, all they have to do is really just chip away another security, and then they gain immunity, and then they can just unsuspend once again. But at least it kind of slows it down by a little bit, and it helps us buy us a little bit of time. And maybe again, if they hit into our security, maybe we can get some like setup option cards, and then with the setup option cards, we can reduce our Digivolution costing, and we can try to climb all the way back to the top if possible to again defend ourselves. And hopefully there's not a second Heaven's Judgment here, but I think they're just trying to analyze. We're also threatening that we might have aces, forcing them to think. This is why it's kind of, you know, making them think carefully before they attack, because by having that Kuagamon on the board that's a level 4, we can easily always go into Mega Kabuteri, redirect attacks. And here they swing with the Magna running into Shine of B, and Shine of B is gonna end up bottom decking their VMon here. So that's kind of nice for us because that helps us, you know, level out the situation just a little bit for us. And then maybe we can make a clap back the turn after. But here they're gonna go for final Zubagon. Effectively, Magna X is now immune once again because we let the attack go through. Honestly, if we had Mega Kabuteri Ace, we definitely would have went into it, so then we could have stopped the attacks there, and that would have been a really nice play. And Izzy would also help us a little bit as long as we remain suspended. But here now we're down to 0 security. Final Zubagon unsuspends. They're immune once again. We're really just in a sticky situation, and there you go. There's a Mega Kabuteri, but you know, they really well played on the opponent's side to sort of like playing around it and, you know, sort of considering what we have and all that. And we can only really just pass them back to 1 by digivolving into Kabuteri and see how they react. But you guys can see it's pretty much over here. There's really shouldn't be any surprises, but you know, always play to the last breath, right? Always try to make them and bait them, because you'll never know. But here go into Magna X and they just swing for game anyways, and there's nothing we can do to stop it at all.
Check out more BT16 gameplay videos right here. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. You guys have a great day, great night, wherever you are. See you in the next video. And this is Vault signing out.